T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
What's up, folks? Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad. Welcome to WWT Live, where we cover the latest and greatest of everything that is going on. And I am not alone. We got a lot to talk about, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Welcome, Mr. Bonner. How are you doing?
I'm tired, but I am very excited. It was a very full
on a
weekend.
Monday?
Oh, well, I had a very full weekend. 2 shows this weekend and a bunch of things, and they were all really, really lit. So, yeah. But how are you? Like, you're fresh off of vacation and birthday celebrations and stuff?
I mean, I'm ready to go back on vacation. It's crazy. I literally came back from vacation and I got booked to do a couple interviews, which I had to prepare for. And I literally it's like, when you get back from vacation, you have like a day or two to like unpack and unwind. Right. You get a little vacation for the vacation. It's like, I literally just went back into work and I'm like, you know what? I think I need another vacation. So I'm going to start planning for this Hawaii trip ASAP. Agree. But anywho, thank you. What do you have for us today?
Well, while you were sunning it up and having all sorts of fun, craziness was happening in the wrestling world, such as Triple H, who I keep dubbing the Great Mediator. He's officially been on the job as the head of creative and head of talent relations for now a little over 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, it seems as though he's flipped the WWE on its ear. Of course, at SummerSlam, he brought back Bayley, and then Io Shirai, aka Io Sky, and then Dakota Kai, and we all went, holy cow. Well, now he's continuing to expand his powers, as this past Friday on SmackDown, he pulled off 2 things that were very interesting. Thing one being the return of the women's tag team titles, which apparently there will be a tournament for that starting tonight on Raw, which is interesting. I'm not going to go down that road. You all can fill in your own blanks
leave.
On that.
Yeah, we're leaving.
We're just going to roll right past.
Going down the rabbit. Yeah, we're
just going to roll right past it. And the second thing happened literally 3 minutes before the end of SmackDown. You've got Roman Reigns in the ring. You've got Drew McIntyre outside of the ring. All of a sudden, the music starts to play. Music we haven't heard in over a year. And who shows up but Karrion Kross? Triple H working his power yet again. Karrion Kross is apparently back in WWE, and this is significant for a lot of reasons. Of course, Karrion Kross, during his heyday in WWE, was the 2-time NXT champion, really had maybe only 1 or 2 losses, just an amazing record. Once he found his way up to Monday Night Raw under the tutelage of Vince McMahon, his fortunes fared a wee bit differently. As his first night out as NXT champion, he came out and lost to Jeff Hardy in less than 2 minutes. That didn't age very well. Then from there, He goes from bad to worse as he gets costume changes. He doesn't come over with Scarlett. He doesn't come over with that entrance. He doesn't come over with any of the things that made him Karrion Kross. And before we knew it, he was gone. What was even more significant is the last time we saw him was last Saturday at Ric Flair's last match pay-per-view. So nobody thought we'd be seeing him in the WWE at this point. We also remember earlier this year, he was part of that new promotion that started by EC3 and the former Braun Strowman, the Control Your Narrative promotion, which was a wee bit controversial for some, but he was a part of that. So however you look at it, I don't think anybody saw Karrion Kross coming back to WWE now. But
and let's not forget Scarlett Bordeaux too, as well.
That was and Scarlett was a big part of the Karrion Kross mystique in NXT. You know, her coming out with, I mean, she had her own entrance before he would come out, and just her whole enigma was incredible. So the fact that she wasn't a part of his foray into the main roster is kind of crazy, and it's something that most fans didn't understand. So having her back, having him back, having them back with their full NXT entrance and presentation versus what was given to them from Vince is just another one of these moves. And it's being said that those are the signs that Triple H is looking to expand the current roster of what's at WWE to include several of the people who were released over the past couple of years, and that's a pretty healthy group of folks to choose from.
Yeah.
You know, so he's got his pick, and again, not all of them made their foray into AEW. So a lot of them are available, and so a lot of names are being tossed around right now in terms of who else could show up in Triple H's WWE. Names like Johnny Gargano are being tossed around. Names like the former Bray Wyatt. And Bray put out this very interesting post over the weekend talking about wrestling, which makes you wonder if we're reading the tea leaves. Is he telling us something or not? So Triple H is Triple H-ing, and I think we all like it.
I wonder too if now we're going to see the cohesiveness of the transition from NXT to the main roster, because it never, and we've talked about this a bunch of times, but it never made sense that it's like, okay, this person is here and it's getting over, because and you know, I don't think they're changing the name NXT anytime soon, but when we see people consistently on NXT, they're not next up. They are like a legit wrestler with a good storyline, character, all this other stuff, especially if they win the championship. So they get all this, and to like just move them to the main roster and change everything gimmick wise, it just made no sense. And as we, you know, as a lot of us know, the black and yellow brand was Triple H. So now that he's head over everything, I wonder if that's that weird change, like this was your name, but we're going to do this name, is going to stop, because it never made sense.
No, it didn't make sense. I agree. And I think there's been talk, of course, that NXT 2.0 could eventually migrate back to the black and gold to mirror what Triple H had in mind for it. So I definitely think we're going to see more continuity, and we're starting to see that by way of now we're hearing the announcers actually talk about some of these wrestlers' NXT background, which they had stopped doing for a while altogether. There was mention about what Gunther did as Walter, as the UK champion, and what Ludwig did as a tag team champion. So when I started hearing that on Friday, I went, oh, so maybe what happened in NXT does matter again. So that should be interesting. And I think with Triple H at the helm, that's going to help keep that continuity and help build the story. And to your point, it kind of makes no sense if Raw and NXT are airing on the same network. Why would we not think that the fans who watch that wouldn't know who they would be when they come to Raw or SmackDown? So Yeah, it's
it
pretty
makes sense
crazy.
for merch. Like
Mhm.
it's just all weird. But
Yeah,
again, I think we're gonna say this for months to come until the dust has officially settled. But
right.
yeah, we're gonna see what's happening. It's a new world
A whole
with
new
Triple
world.
H.
Yes.
And we've said it at the top. We're not gonna say it, but we're gonna see what happens. I think now for SummerSlam really just started a whole new like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen on these shows, because now
Right.
legitimately we have no idea. I think there are
Right.
sometimes where we could predict certain things, but now that there's a new person in charge, Triple H is in
Mhm.
charge, and all the ideas he has,
Yeah.
we don't every show could be a surprise from now until October.
It's starting to feel like the 90s again in terms of that Monday Night War period where you didn't know who was going to show up where.
Hmm.
So we had that maybe a year or so ago when there were the releases from WWE. The question was who was going to show up on AEW. Now, and we never thought in a million years that the question would be who will show up in WWE. But that's now the prevailing question for wrestling fans, which is a very good thing for the WWE. And I
Right.
think it's going to be a challenge for everywhere else at this point.
Yeah, and then like I wonder if he's reaching out to people who don't necessarily have contracts or
Mhm.
I think for instance, and Taya did have she had a great experience, but not a great experience. But I
Right.
think she would be great at WWE provided the right storyline. Her
Absolutely.
husband, John Morrison, there's certain people that shouldn't. I mean, how many rounds of cut of what, 4 last year? It was like
Yeah.
every other month they were firing. It was almost like TMZ. It was crazy.
There,
Um,
wow.
yeah.
But there was a point where they had totaled it was like 80 people, 80 superstars had been released from WWE between 2020 and 2021.
Hmm.
Which is an insane. I mean, like that's literally double the roster of a lot of independent organizations. And I don't even know that Impact has a roster of 84 people on it.
Right.
So it's incredible to think that they cut an entire promotion basically.
Yeah. Because they
So
usually cut like right after I think it was only like once a year. I think it was
right.
after WrestleMania, and I think
Hmm.
it might have been twice, like after WrestleMania and like in October or some sort.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
and then that October one was kind of iffy for a couple of years. But WrestleMania is
Mhm.
usually the time
That was a
where,
guaranteed one.
yeah. So
Mhm.
oh yeah, I definitely agree. Sammy Hit Row was a good one that.
Mm. Yeah, there are I'll just say this. I know some stories about the Hit Row situation,
Mhm.
and I think Triple H would do right to be able to bring Hit Row back.
And of course,
I'll just say that.
Santana, Santana
Oh,
saying
but
Hit Row needs to stay home.
this is what I love about WWT Live. You have all sides represented here. Now here's what I think is going to be the challenge for Hit Row. With Swerve already locked and loaded in AEW, he was
Right.
clearly the star and he was
Yes.
helping to lead the others that were in that particular faction. As with most factions, you have your experienced member who's leading, you have some
Hmm.
folks who are like right in the middle, and then you have the others that are primarily new. In this case, Swerve was clearly the experienced one.
Right.
You had one person who had some experience, but they were still coming up. But then you had Top Dollar and B Fab, who both were green.
Hmm.
So for those three remaining ones to come back, would definitely
Yeah.
it wouldn't hit the same. It
Yeah.
wouldn't hit
It's
the
like
same.
having Destiny's Child without Beyonce. It's just like, wait.
No knock to
y-
anybody else, but you
Right.
kind of need the lead singer
Right.
in this particular scenario. So, but there are lots of other options for Triple H at this point. And we've not even mentioned, everybody's talking about these other folks, but nobody's talking about MJF, which I think that would be a very interesting because MJF in a Triple H WWE, incredible.
Yeah. We haven't
Incredible.
seen him, I think, since Los Angeles when he did that crazy promo. I was like,
Whew.
wait, is he? Is he? So I guess
He
I
did
guess what he was saying is all true.
he cut that promo so well. And again, people were just like, is it a work or is it a shoot? And it's like, okay, you've not seen him on TV since then. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's stop asking if it's a work or a shoot. Every time we ask that, it's a shoot. So yeah, yeah. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens. But the world is wide open, and anything is possible.
This is very true. What
Yeah.
else do you have for us?
All right. So I told you I had two big shows I was involved with this weekend. One of them being Southern Honor, which we do every first Friday. We had a big event called Rumble Jack. And I'm mentioning this because there are two names that you guys are probably very familiar with who showed up and none of us knew. One of them, it was Ernest the Cat Miller, who was a part of WCW. He was involved, and this Rumble Jack event is kind of like our Royal Rumble of sorts, but it's
Mhm.
a Royal Rumble meets a lumberjack match where we get down to the final two. It turns into a lumberjack. It's really, really cool. But the second one that showed up that shocked the world was Enzo. We had an Enzo sighting, and it was incredible. Like, I'm on commentary
Wow.
trying not to respond to all the things that and you can't teach. I'm trying not to say that.
Man,
It was a
Enzo
moment.
was so that was the time that I started in my like wrestling journalist period.
Yeah.
Around that time was when I was watching like
Okay.
consistently. And that they're like and I understand the locker room stuff, and Enzo was,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
problematic at times, but just when they got out there
Woo.
and the promos,
Hot.
it was so good. It was
Mhm.
so good.
Mhm.
So you know, how did he do? Did he wrestle? What
Yeah.
was
So he was involved in this Rumble Jack match. He was number 19 out of 30. He has bulked up. In case you haven't seen him, he has bulked up, put on some muscle. And he looks great. He still has the gift of gab. I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible. It was
yeah.
absolutely incredible. He looked great in the
He
ring. Yeah, he was
he
great.
definitely seems like the one that was like born. That was just that was the talk piece was just the mouthpiece was he was born with that. That's nothing new.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Southern Honor was great. The other show that a lot of people are talking about is BattleSlam, which happened last night here in the ATL. BattleSlam, the takeover. It was crazy. So there's a couple of things that I can tell you. Okay. For
Okay.
one, I can tell you that this was recorded for pay-per-view. So it's going to end up on Fight TV later this week. I don't have the exact
Okay.
date yet, but we will
All right.
see it later this week. And that will feature that massive, and I do mean massive main event with Lil Scrappy and Baron Black. It was incredible. It was a packed house last night. We had a lot of folks there. Caprice Coleman was there. His son was there. He helped do commentary at moment. Like
Oh, nice.
there were so many moments. The thing I got to tell people about BattleSlam is a vibe. I, I
Mhm.
I have never been a part. Now I've been a part of some really cool wrestling things, but when it comes to an entire experience from start to finish, I mean, there's a DJ playing music when you walk in, and everything is about the culture. So
Mhm.
even if like there are technical difficulties, if it starts late, whatever, nobody's stressing because it's like a giant party. It's
Right.
crazy. And so we had amazing action last night. There were matches for to qualify for our new world championship, that tournament which is coming. And I'll give you guys a sneak peek, a little bit of tea for you, and that is this. So we've got BattleSlam the takeover, but now there is also going to be a bi-weekly BattleSlam show airing on Fight TV. It's called
Ooh, okay.
BattleSlam the Aftermath. So if the pay-per-views aren't enough, you'll be able to get BattleSlam with a bi-weekly series that's going to be happening on Fight TV. That'll be coming to you
Nice.
very, very soon. So I'm really excited about this. I'm on commentary along with Shug D. It is an entire vibe. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, no, the event has not been leaked. We are intentionally not leaking anything about it because we do obviously want you to check it out, and you'll be able to check it out this week. And it was crazy. It was
Yeah, because I did see a
crazy.
few. It's interesting that you said that it's going to be airing later because I did, and I didn't. I did see a few tweets about it, so that's why I
Yes.
thought it already aired. So
Yeah.
maybe that's what you're referring to, JD. But
Yeah, because
yeah,
some
it
fans
it
live
takes so
tweeted, of
long,
course.
right?
Yeah, they
But
live
of
tweet,
course,
and
I
it's
mean, we don't want you to lose your job, so you don't want to leak
yeah,
anything
I
crazy.
don't want to leak anything, but I will say this: it was incredible. It was really, really incredible. So, I definitely think you'll want to check it out, and it's just the whole vibe. It is a vibe. Nikki's been there. Nikki, she knows it's a vibe. It's a thing. And so you'll want to check it out again as soon as I get the word on when it's going to air. I will let you guys know, and it's going to be a thing. And again, the aftermath piece, you guys are going to enjoy that as well. There are some twists and turns, and yeah, some moments, some real moments. So be on the lookout for Battle Slam coming to Fight TV very, very soon. And again, there will be a bi-weekly series for Battle Slam that you'll be able to watch regularly, and that's going to be happening on Fight TV as well.
Boom, there it is. And
Yeah.
then we have and it's gonna be interesting too, because go back to the story that we were talking about with Triple H. Somebody else
Yes.
who was cut. Although I don't understand why she's not signed. CJ
Mm-hmm.
Lana was cut, and she
Mm-hmm.
actually did an interview with Renee talking about all of that. So, what do
Ah.
you think of that story?
You know, I try to be careful sometimes because I know everybody's stories are different. You know,
Hmm.
everybody's stories are different in terms of what their relationship was like with Vince, how they found out about being released, because some people were completely caught off guard. Others kind of felt the tea leaves and they could feel like it was coming. It's hard to say, and I want to be careful because I think with Lana, the tough thing with Lana is I think she got over with some fans, but towards the end, it felt like Lana was being forced on us in the ring. And I don't know
Hmm.
that fans really liked that. So fans were up in the air. I mean, when they heard about her initial release, there were some that were like, oh, this is horrible. Then there were others that were like, well, not that big of a loss, which, don't get me wrong, anybody losing their job is a loss, but
Right.
I don't think fans felt as bad about it. And so, yeah, the other thing is, does she actually want to like come back?
And that's weird. That's what I was wondering. Like, I mean, I over the last couple months, I've got to meet a lot of influencers, and
Yeah,
let me tell you, it's a full job, full time
it is.
job. They making the ones who are doing it right are making a good amount of money.
Yeah,
Um, but it's essentially your own business.
right.
So I would love to see her next to Miro, but it depends what their life looks like. I think they live out here in LA now, or
Hmm.
they're by state, because I think they
Right,
have a house in Texas, but I know they're
right.
out here a lot. So it really just depends. I don't know. As far as I know, for the interview, I read the article. I didn't get to hear the whole
Gotcha.
interview. So if anybody in the
Okay.
chat has heard the interview, let me know. But it seems like if she really wanted to get back into wrestling,
Mhm.
there's plenty of promotions
Sure.
that she could have. But again, it's just kind of like yes, we have AEW, but WWE, whether you had a great experience or not, um the the monster itself, and then to go
Mhm.
down, it's kind of like wearing a pair of Nikes, and then all of a sudden you're starting to wear shoes from Payless. Like,
Right.
you
Right.
don't
No,
you
that's
don't
the reality.
necessarily, yeah, do you want to start from that and then try to build up to what? Do you want to,
Right.
like, what is your end goal? And I
Right.
think, based off of some of the stuff that I've heard from previous interviews, is more the entertainment factor, more
Sure.
acting and stuff like that. So
Right.
it'd be interesting. I think, it's how she was let go, because her and Naomi were doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, it
They were
was
teaming up. It
I'm
seemed like it was
yeah,
something that was gonna happen with them.
it was
Yes.
Caesar. So I wasn't, I'm not a fan of just sticking people together. Like, we knew they were kind of sort of friends, but just sticking
Mhm.
them randomly together just because. But they were doing it for a while.
Right.
So yeah, I don't I it's her experience, but again, it's not like she doesn't seem like she's moping, because if you follow her on IG, her IG is
Yeah.
popping.
Top
They're
end.
on boats. They're living their best life.
Yes,
So,
they are.
do you give up that to, be on the road and all this other stuff? Like it just depends I guess what your true desire is.
The other thing I'm noticing about this generation's wrestler or sports entertainer, whatever you want to call it, is they're built differently than old school wrestlers. And this is what I mean by that. Old school wrestlers, like a Ric Flair, this is going to be their only job. It's the only thing they've ever wanted to do. They don't
Right.
see it as a step into somewhere else. I
Mm-hmm.
really believe The Rock kind of set up a template for people to say, you can be in wrestling for X amount of years, and then you can transition into something else, particularly acting or the like. And a
Right.
lot have followed in that footsteps. And so people realize, okay, if I work at WWE and get let go, that doesn't lock me into having to be in wrestling for the rest of my life.
Right.
And in the case of CJ, where she was an actress before she got into wrestling, one would think, okay, well, that's a door that's already been opened for you. It might open a bit wider after the exposure of WWE.
Right.
But I don't know, particularly in her case, where she wasn't doing a lot of wrestling, and she did want to wrestle, and so she did. I don't know if it's one of those things where she just checks the box off and goes, hey, you know what? I did it. I'm good. Let me move on to something else. And
Right.
so I think time will tell, because as John Cena and The Rock and several others are proving, if you can make that kind of money and more without putting your body through the wear and tear of travel and bumps, et cetera, it kind of
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess it just depends on how you set it up. Like,
Right.
The bumps on the body is that's the craziest, that's the not so great part about it, and doing it for such a
Mhm.
long period of time.
Right.
And again, we don't know what their personal life is as far as family and all that other
Right.
stuff. So, kudos to her.
Yes.
I'll definitely be checking out that interview just to hear. I'm sure there's some other gems that the article missed.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, look. And I know everything that you put on social media is not completely accurate. We don't post the bad times, but
Of course.
she's clearly still working out. So
Right.
I feel like
She's not letting herself go.
I feel like if you're gonna look that good, you have to be happy. Like I don't know too many people who look that good that
Right.
aren't happy. So
Right.
I wish happiness, and we don't see her back in the ring. That's not a problem. And she was such a great actress, because I believe she had that accent. And then I
For
remember seeing her on
years.
Total Divas. I'm like, wait,
Right. Right.
which is a good thing. And again, I don't know if the accent was all the way correct,
Right.
because I get
Right.
pissed off at people when they make Caribbean accents, which is like, no, don't do that. But I
Because they
didn't
never
hear
get it
any.
right.
They never get it right. It's always
Nope.
this like Jamaican bobsled thing. It's so annoying.
Yes.
But we'll see what happens. So
Yeah.
congratulations to her. And I think the great thing about Renee and her podcast is that Oral Sessions is that Nia Jax has been on there. She gets the big
Right.
guests, obviously, because of her former job at WWE. But
Right.
she gets to talk about the conversations are non-filtered, and trust and
Right.
believe, inside and outside of wrestling. Because for you guys who don't know, I do interviews outside of wrestling as well.
Mhm.
Sometimes you're shackled with you can't ask certain stuff.
Right.
And it looks like that's not the case with Renee's show, which is kudos to her for like, look, you coming on here, you know what it is.
Right. And they have
We
no
talking
problem
everything.
answering. So
Right. So definitely that. I think we have another host on. Here she
let's
is.
go.
Miss Mimi, how you doing? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah,
You're
she's
muted.
muted.
This happens every week. Every week I come in with a bang and I'm muted. I'm
But
silent.
let me just say, every week that I see your view,
Mhm.
like the windows.
Oh,
It's kind of amazing.
Yes.
thank you. I live on the 21st floor, so that's the only reason why
Sheesh.
it looks like this. That's it.
That
Sheesh.
That is, I mean, I used to live on the 21st floor too, back in Toronto. Well, my mom got,
Oh,
and it was a
yum.
beautiful view. But I don't think I can't. I think I've been spoiled by this LA life. I can't do this apartment, so I'm just gonna be just look at my neighbor's pool. That's my view.
This floor level ain't for me.
For sure. I love it.
But the view is amazing. It's like,
Thank you
anyway,
very
what
much.
city are you in?
I live in Fort Lee, New Jersey, so that's literally right across the bridge. And people always say, "Oh, you don't live in New Jersey, you live in Harlem," because literally, like, you're looking at Harlem across the bridge.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
Okay.
I used to walk across the bridge and get on the A train to go to work
Okay.
as exercise. So that's how close it is. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
kudos to you in that view. What do you
Thank
got for
you.
us today?
I saw this because I love talking about my tribal chief and his family, and we have been waiting for this match forever because
Mhm.
Roman's been, I'm the tribal chief, I'm the tribal chief, I'm the tribal chief, and his cousin has stayed super, super quiet. But, people are saying that the only reason why he's quiet is because he's quote unquote busy. So Dave Meltzer, who I really sometimes I don't listen to his thing, but it's been all over the internet that apparently Roman Reigns versus The Rock is absolutely happening at WrestleMania 39. At this point, I kind of feel like if it doesn't happen, like, you need to stop. We
Just don't
waited
come back.
for
Yeah.
just
Don't come back.
please. But at the end of the day, when you really think about it, he's got the XFL that's starting in February, right? He just
Mhm.
bought it. Him, and we can't just say him. Miss Danny Garcia is also
Mhm.
part ownership of this, and she
Mhm.
and him have been, I mean, what they've built with $7 has been phenomenal. I've never seen two people that were together that turned around and partnered the way they have, and
Mhm.
just they live separate lives, raise their Simone,
Daughter. Mhm.
Mhm.
and just continued to build all of the things that started off as management, and is now like, I don't know, you can't even go on their website and find a job, because I've tried to do that, because it's so tight knit, right? But what they're building is beautiful. I mean, they do everything from talent management to production. We see it with the Young Rock. That
Mhm.
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, I kind of feel like is going to get renewed. We talked about the XFL, and we talked about all these movies he has dropping.
Mhm.
They've asked him to host the Emmys, and he wasn't able to do it. Now, who turns down the Emmys, especially if you have a TV show, which is nuts, right?
Right.
But I feel like The Rock, aside from John Cena, and I kind of have to say, not even John Cena has reached the level of stardom outside of WWE as The Rock has.
Right. But The Rock has had some years, like how many years before John Cena actually started? Because I don't know if you guys have heard, but John Cena's on all these commercials. He's doing a
He
lot of
is.
He
voiceovers.
is.
Tons of voiceovers.
He's doing
He is.
a lot of voiceovers.
A lot of voiceovers, a lot of, animation, a lot of movies, and they're all
Mhm.
funny because John Cena is funny.
Mhm.
Yes.
But I feel like when it comes to a full portfolio, I think The Rock supersedes everybody.
Oh yeah.
This is just my opinion. I just feel
Mhm.
like he's done DC. Um Black Adam is DC, right?
I believe
Okay.
so. Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's not
so
Marvel.
they're both been on DC. They've both been on Blockbuster. What? Maybe I got to do the comparison. I got to go back and do the comparison,
JD.
but it just
No.
feels like maybe The Rock is out there a little bit too much. Like he's more flamboyant with it, maybe.
Well, I think The Rock has a couple more years before. I mean, the John Cena, like The Rock, we haven't seen The Rock in WWE for a long time, but I think John Cena made his, because when's the last time, like, I have to count it by through the relationship. So John Cena just got married. So maybe him and Nikki were together, what, 3 years ago?
That's about
Before,
right.
like,
Yeah.
They ended the relationship before the pandemic, maybe a year
Yeah.
or two before the
Right.
pandemic.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that was around, and after they had that, relationship, like the couples battle, I think that was
Mhm.
like the last time we kind of saw him. And then he's been in and out. So before that, he was like in and out, but like so if you add that, The Rock has been doing The Rock stuff for what, 10 years or going close to 10 years, like
Right.
not completely out of WWE, but enough, because I
Yeah.
think we saw The Rock in San Jose, and that was 2015,
But I'm talking about like
2016.
full portfolio.
Yeah, but The Rock
Yeah.
has
Oh yeah.
had more years to do it
Yeah. Think about this.
than John Cena.
Rock left WWE for Scorpion King and that thing in 2002.
Right.
The same
Yeah.
year Cena came in WWE.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
from that point on, Rock just would pop his head in, pop his head out, pop his
Right.
head in. He last popped his head in 2004. Then he was gone for 7 years, came back in 2011, and all of those things. And I mean, to your point, Mimi, The Rock wasn't just the biggest movie star of all wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
He was the biggest movie star of the year,
Period.
Right.
grossed
Right.
more
Right.
than anybody,
Right.
so that's a level, to your point, that there's not been another wrestler who's even remotely come close to. So you're
Right.
It's
you're
gonna take
absolutely
Cena some
right in
time to
that.
get there. Yeah.
A
But when I
long
say
time to get there.
portfolio, I don't mean film. I mean businesses. I mean
Oh,
Everything.
for
Yeah.
Tirana.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
the talent management stuff, the production stuff. He's done, I mean, from soup to nuts. Now he's in sports. Is XFL considered sport? It's like
Yeah, it's
the D
football.
League of football, right?
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, I feel like, again, he's like in my opinion, outside of Michael Jordan, because I feel like Michael Jordan is just, he's in a category of his own. Magic Johnson did it right,
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
his portfolio when it comes to businesses and all the things that he's done and touched is
Mhm.
unmatched than anybody aside from Michael Jordan. And so that's
Yeah.
why I feel like The Rock is the Michael Jordan of pro wrestling,
Okay.
in my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay.
And I don't know, like yesterday we were on Twitter and somebody made a comment about, they didn't say his name, but they said, "Oh, you build a WrestleMania idea." I guess they were coming from Logan Paul's interview with Triple H, where Triple H mentioned that, which I kind of felt like, why did he have to say anything at all? But it felt kind of petty. It felt like a true kind of petty kind of remark. He was like, well, he came and he said, we really wanted you. I really want to have that match that we never had, and blah blah blah. And then his schedule, they built this whole WrestleMania around these two, and then his schedule changed, and then it was like, okay, everything is changing, and he didn't show up for that WrestleMania. I don't know if it's that WrestleMania that he got hurt.
Mm.
I'm not really sure what it is, but it came off like The Rock was being kind of like, it was a little like flaky about it, where he'll pick the bag before he'll pick the business,
Of
which
course.
and it is what it is, right? So
Mhm.
let's not be petty. But
Yeah.
I don't think that he would be petty to his cousin, in my opinion. I feel like that journey from that Royal Rumble from 2014, that was supposed to do something for Roman and it didn't. I mean, I felt those boos in my core, when that
Okay.
happened.
Mhm.
And so for me, I feel like that he's got to come back with all the crap that Roman has been talking. They have to do this. He
But
has to
here's
do
the
this.
thing. Here is the thing. Now that we have a new creative director, right? And now Meltzer has said this, right? And
Mhm.
now we're all wanting this. Like, if I were in that position, I mean, like, no, I'm gonna try to create something even to blow your minds, because it's like, if you give us what, and trust me, I want to see it as bad as you do too. Like I think I've said it on this show and other shows. It makes sense. They're in Hollywood. Like he has a house here. It's a drive away. Like calm down. Let's make it happen. However, now that we've been talking about it for so much, it's for so long. If I were Triple H, my brain would be working overtime to try to do something that's not that doesn't include The Rock, or includes The Rock in a different capacity. That is something that's going to blow our mind even beyond, like we're going to essentially, I think Hollywood, and no shade to Dallas or any other WrestleMania, but I feel like Hollywood, especially with so much mainstream media that's based in LA,
it's a takeover.
They're going to try to make the wrestling fans in general, but everybody else who just barely watches wrestling or just have heard of it, lose their ish. Yeah. And if I were Triple H, that's what would be on my mind on a regular basis. Like, what can I do that would be beyond what you guys want? Because I'm not going to give you guys what you want. That's going to blow your mind. Like, it can't be a straight match.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a straight match. I think there are two scary elements here. Scary element number one is, I think, at least right now, Triple H is doing all he can. It's almost like, good cop, bad cop, right? Bad cop is Vince McMahon. And so now all the bad cop ideas that wouldn't fly, good cop is coming in to fly them.
Fix.
So there's that, right? The other side of it, though, is now I think we ultimately should land at Roman versus Rock. The road there is what Triple H can really make crazy so that we don't see it coming. Right. But the question I end up having, though, is if it doesn't happen this Mania, is this it? Like, is there enough? Because I think Roman is really getting ready to say, I'm done. And I don't think there are too many more times that Rock can come back. So I think Triple H is also thinking, I don't want a Sting Undertaker situation on my hands. The match that should have happened, that everybody craved for and never got, and we now have to accept we'll never get.
Right.
So I think Triple H understands there's great value in Roman and Rock, title or not.
Right.
So I think we can take the title out of the equation and we would still want this match because it's really about the head of the bloodline.
Right.
That's
the real prize.
Title. I think you need the title.
I would like the title too, but I think it doesn't need a title. It's the biggest prize that we've been talking about for the past 2 years is being the head of the family. And that red lay means a great deal. You know what I mean? Right. And so, and it takes, if you read up about it, like, it's a big responsibility. It's not just your family. It's like your whole generation,
everybody,
And so when we look at it, and it's no shade to Rikishi, I don't feel like went to the full magnitude as he should have, like Yokozuna went, like The Rock went, like Roman went, like his kid.
But here's the thing. If Roman, they have this, and now The Rock becomes the head of the table, then what? Because we know he's not. We know that. Why, and then where do I fit in this whole picture?
Your scene is still good.
No, you didn't.
He had it teed up. It was great.
What happens? Like, what happens to the table?
Did you take the seat from under my booty?
Oh, girl, I've had this picture for 2+ years. Shout out to Clement, my graphic designer, for everything. But I've been talking about the Samoan Dynasty forever. Go back to AfterBuzz days. I've been talking about the Samoan Dynasty forever. But like, what happens if now The Rock is the head of the table? Like, what? Because we know he's not going to make random appearances at WWE.
No,
like, that's not happening. And then what happens to Roman?
Right. Because then who does he get? The other thing, did you guys see in this last season of Young Rock? Because I thought this was brilliant. There's this scene where they have young Roman
Mhm.
and and the rest of the folks gathering around the TV to watch The
That's right.
Rock
That's right.
when he's making his debut. And young Roman asks, like, wow, one day it'd be cool to fight The Rock. And then I think either The Rock or somebody in there says, oh no, one day you guys will do that at WrestleMania.
I thought that was foreshadowing.
It absolutely was. And I was like, okay, they planted the seed on Rock's show. It's brilliant. So it's almost like it has to happen. So the question ends up being, okay, what are the circumstances? And for my money, I think the only way we have the intrigue of who will win is if the title is not on the line, which means Roman has to lose that title. And I mean, it could happen a number of ways. I mean, it could happen where Roman loses it Saturday night and then ends up fighting Rock Sunday night, right? Like it could be a number of things. They have options with the 2 nights, but I think before they leave LA, Rock and Roman have to be in a ring against each other.
I'm afraid of this losing situation. I don't know how he can lose when he's at this height of his career, at this level, at this magnitude, because Friday, when they came out of that truck without even saying anything, the optics alone with him just dapping his cousins and walking into the ring, that I don't know, like it almost feels like Drew is not winning.
Oh no. Well, I knew Drew wasn't winning, but when Karrion Kross showed up and attacked Drew, Drew became an afterthought Friday night.
Poor thing.
Because nobody was talking about him.
Oh my gosh.
We came into that show expecting a face-off between Drew and Roman, and we left the show with nobody talking about Drew. Everybody was talking about Karrion Kross. So that tells you all you need to know. I think it's going to go down. Cody is going to be the world champion at WrestleMania. He'll win the title at WrestleMania. Against who? I don't know. But I also think we get Rock and Roman. Rock loses. Roman wins. And after that, Roman sails into the sunset because there truly is no one left for Roman to beat at that point.
But then another question, and this is all, we have decided not to go down the rabbit hole for one situation, but we are going down the rabbit hole now. Now the question is,
it's a new rabbit hole.
It's a new rabbit hole. The question now is, because we saw when Rock officially left WWE, he was already had one foot doing Hollywood stuff. Same with Cena. With Roman, what's next for Roman in his, is he gonna have like a Brock Lesnar contract where it's like you contract me for
once in a while,
once in a while, and now you're on a Legends contract? Like, what does and again, I call this. I don't know what his account is like, but I'm gonna just assume it's rich people problems. Again, it's just kind of like, do you have enough money where you don't need, like, you've invested it, you know, all the aunties and cousins and all of them being the head of the table is taken care of.
Right.
Like, you really not worried like that with money? Like, do we now, should we not be worried about Roman? Roman says, deuces, I'm out. And, like,
Roman's
I just
going to
kind of
Hollywood.
like, what's next?
Roman's going to Hollywood. Roman is,
but I feel like if he was going to go to Hollywood, he should have. There should be, like, and then also not go to Hollywood based off of, because the movie he was in was because of The Rock.
Sure.
So it's like, in what capacity is he going to Hollywood? You could want to go to Hollywood all day.
Well, I'll say this. Oh, go ahead, Mimi.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think that he is absolutely being managed by them, by $7. Absolutely. I think that he is probably being, I think his contract may have him hemmed up until a certain point, but I think there may be a few things that are in the pipeline for him to start filming after he decides, or they decide to take that title off of him. I do not think that WWE is the end for Roman Reigns. at all. I mean, look at him. Like he is going to, even if he becomes a stuntman, at the very least, if he becomes a stuntman, he's going to Hollywood. Like
He's too
got
pretty
the
to be a
look.
stuntman, I'm just saying.
Right, you're right. You're right. But
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
but
doing-
look at him. Look at him. Like he is.
I see him.
built.
I see him. Yes,
We see.
he's at the head of the table. You not see. I see him all the time.
There's that.
But I think that I absolutely think it's in the pipeline, and it's absolutely going to happen. And when it does happen, we're gonna start seeing the storylines in the Hollywood in the variety magazines for sure.
Okay.
I just think that he's hemmed up in this contract right now. I don't even know when it's funny how we hear about other people's contract signings, but we never hear about his.
Interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, I think there are a number of concerns for WWE, and one of the big concerns to me for WWE is always post Mania. It's like there's this massive ride up to Mania, and then after Mania, there is this just fall in terms of interest and making things fun and keeping us excited. And so the real question to me is, who is going to be built up to carry this thing post Roman? Because I think WrestleMania, win, lose, or draw, Roman's going to go away after Mania. I don't know how long, but he'll go away, take a break. You know, he might act or whatever. So who's going to fill in the blank? I think that's one of the reasons why they let Cody go home, get fully healed up, get all your stuff straight, because when we come after Mania,
You're gonna be the face.
you're going to be the face. And I think there's enough intrigue with Cody, enough popularity with Cody, where there are enough feuds that can be started with Cody that'll at least hold us for a bit, because we've got to get from there to SummerSlam somehow and keep interest. You know what I mean? And we might see Roman come back for a SummerSlam match with Cody, which we have to see that match too, I think.
Right.
So
but here's the
after-
thing too. What are you gonna say, Mimi?
Let's talk about this Cody thing. So we saw, the whole throne thing, right?
Yes.
And now Vince is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this really mean, right? Is Cody a factor?
Define factor.
Do you see the comments?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Why does your face tense up every time we meet?
Because you know what, and it's love and hate I have for this man. It's love and hate. I don't know why.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I was always a Cody fan, and then he went and then he did what he did at AEW. It was constant between him and Jericho. It was back and forth, and it was very annoying. It was just unprofessional. It was petty, and it was just unnecessary. You know what I mean? I thought the way he left was the right way to leave. I felt like it wasn't bad. And then he just sourpussed it. You know what I mean? And so we knew that he was going to come back because he's a WWE guy. He's a wrestling guy, and he belongs on the screen. Mind you, when he's in the ring, like, he's gotten 10,000% better, and he's more elevated here than he was at AEW. Hands down. The work
he
that
doesn't
he
have
has
to
done,
do so many jobs.
Right.
He could just wrestle.
right. And leading up to, like, all the stuff, the fire on the table, like, that wasn't Cody. Like, he looked herbish doing all that, and now he's here and he looks like
herbish. I haven't heard that word
in ages, right? I like it.
He said herb.
He's a herb.
Sorry.
He was looking like a herb. But now look at him. He looks like gold. He looks like money. His promos are like, it hits you right here. But no, I'm gonna give it to you, but I'm not gonna give it all to you.
Oh, okay. All right then. To you guys' point, I think with Triple H, it's a new set of eyes. And I think what a lot of us have been complaining about is that we have these big names and the stories were built around these big names, but everybody else, it was almost like there wasn't really a mid card.
Right.
It was like the
Right.
big names and everybody else, there was just everybody else. And I
Right.
think
Right.
Triple H, just like how we see him, what he did with NXT, I think he's going to take a lot of wrestlers and there's going to be storylines created where that when Roman Reigns leaves, other than Cody, there are going to be plenty of storylines and plenty of people that we can get behind that we
Right.
want to see in those positions. And I
Right.
think that was something that was lacking with WWE. It was just kind of like you had these 2-3 people, like for instance, when you think of the tag teams, well, not even talk about the women, but when you think of the men's tag team, you're thinking of New Day, you're thinking of the Usos, and you're thinking of the Street Profits. The Street Profits
Right.
was a Triple H thing
Right.
Right.
that they thankfully kept,
Right.
Right.
and now on main roster. But other than that, who else is there?
It's a shame because in
Right?
NXT there were plenty.
Right. So I feel like Triple H, I honestly, I would love to just see what his office, or I feel like he has some random floor in the house or somewhere where he has all the wrestlers that are currently on the roster, the wrestlers he's in talks with, and the wrestlers that he wants. And I see him just drawing these lines and storylines of, like, it's just a big white wall.
War
And
room.
he's,
Mhm.
yes. And he's literally mapping all this out. Of course, we can't map. We have to take it, into consideration, injuries and all this other stuff. But there have been plenty of people who've been injured that still had a great storyline.
Yeah.
So I feel like when WrestleMania comes, that between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, I think he's thinking about all those things. It's kind of like when you're all the stuff that we've been saying,
Right.
if we had a chance to helmet, these are
Right.
some of the things that we would do. It's just kind of
Right.
like the fact that, the women's tag team championships was up in the air. He's brought that back. I'm sure he has a plan.
He's
Like,
writing
there's no
so
like,
many
Oh,
we're
he
going to
songs.
bring it back.
absolutely
And
had
then
the plan.
there's a plan for that. That's going to shock us. The fact that there are what we were talking about before you came on, Mimi, that there were like 4 cuts in a year, which usually never happens. He's bringing people back. The fact that, there's so many different things that I feel like there's going to be a very robust roster that it's not where there's going to be people that, sometimes you're like, oh, I forgot he was on there. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think there's going to be a very solid mid card. There's going to be, there's just going to be a solid roster and plenty of storylines. And that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing. But another person, we actually predicted this last Monday, Ric Flair. Does anybody want to talk about the storyline and life of Ric Flair?
Yeah, so we did mention this last week, and we asked ourselves the question, hey, how long would it be before Ric Flair found himself in the ring again? And I
5
was
days.
I was vocal saying I hope he never did. Kane was like in 6 months, but yeah, try 5 days. As apparently this weekend, he got into a confrontation in Puerto Rico with, of all people, Carlos Colon. Yeah. And
Did
this
you see
happens.
them?
Did I see who?
Did you see the clip? Can we get the clip? The clip is the funniest part.
I'm actually scared about watching this clip.
You didn't see the clip? Oh my God.
Let's see if I can find it while you're talking.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find it. It involved Carlito. It involved Andrade. And then they're there, right there. Look at Flip, and look at the phones everywhere. And so now, again, I say, Flair told us in 2008 at that Hall of Fame speech he would never retire. And then
he didn't lie.
He didn't lie. Now, maybe he lied last week when he said, no, this is it.
Oh, wait, I think
done.
I found it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it for you guys.
Oh,
I thought this was an old clip, but they say
No.
It is an old clip.
Well,
good lord.
Yeah, Ric Flair, man, like, I don't even know what to say about this, because again, we had this whole big buildup, this massive, pay-per-view event that happened last weekend. It was a whole weekend of events that happened, and now he's back like he never left, because he didn't. Yeah, there's that. So yeah, and now at least Carlos Colon didn't say it was his last match. I mean, Carlos Colon doesn't belong in a ring either. They're about the same age at this point, but maybe we're gonna see this. Here we go. Yeah. Flair. Oh, Flair.
Oh, man.
God. Really,
Oh,
Flair?
why you wanna? Oh,
Right,
why you
like-
wanna?
Right.
Oh, why you wanna?
Oh,
goodness.
Oh, this is these things hurt
wow.
my heart. They hurt. Why?
Oh, goodness.
Oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
JD's like, no, stop. So I guess the next question is, when are we going to see Ric Flair again?
That's probably the most
PK.
appropriate question.
Because I feel like we saw him 5 days later, and this could be a start of something like another match. Maybe he's going to travel with it.
The Ric Flair's last match tour.
I mean, okay, put it like this. Ric Flair is. I can't even remember where I was, but the woo is his thing. Right. And you see it everywhere. You see it legitimately everywhere. You see it in music. You see it like there's sports anchors who say it. Like you see it everywhere. Right. And if you have a chance to see him, whether it's not great, but you can actually be in the venue to see him do something, I think you still would go. Like if he was in LA, I would still, knowing that what I'm going to get, already seeing, 5 days ago or, how many days ago, what it was, knowing I'm going to get the exact same thing, I would still go. So maybe he is making his like how basketball players do when they get their official, like this is my last year, they go on the retirement tour. Why can't Ric Flair do that? Although we know he's never going to retire, but
for me, it's okay. So if we're using the basketball analogy, they know it's their last year. They go on the tour, but what we haven't seen are those same basketball players come back 10 years later and say, hey, I'm not done. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play another season, right? Like we've not seen that, like they get respect. Now maybe the challenge is this for ex-basketball players, football players, baseball players, there's a space for them to go, say, on ESPN or Fox Sports and become an analyst or become a commentator or do something that still keeps them connected to the sport and in front of the people that allows those creative juices, and that excitement to keep going. And Flair, I guess, doesn't find any appeal in that. Maybe he thinks that's a step down and he doesn't want to be involved in that. I don't know. But I think we're getting to a point now where, number one, it's a draw if I get to take a picture with him, but I know of a story where that didn't go very well at StarCast. So I can't guarantee that that's going to happen. I don't really like autographs all that much. So, a picture is what I would go for, but I don't need to see him in the ring. I can go watch Peacock. I can go watch YouTube and see the Ric Flair that I remember.
Being there in person.
Thankfully, I was there in person in 2008 for his real retirement match that gave me everything I needed. This Ric Flair with a t-shirt on and, with no. He is still 73 years old. And this is not ageism. It is simply saying
it sounds like ageism.
It is not. It is not. Because there's a 75-year-old wrestler who occasionally shows up in Impact and he can go. And like, that's super cool. Sting is 62, 63, and he can go, but it's just like, if you're going to tell me you're retiring and then you go back on your word 5 days later.
Wait, but did he say he was retiring?
So he said this really is my last match. In the interview right outside of the ring where he said he forgot everything he did, or he forgot half the match. He said, no, this really is my last match. I really enjoyed it. And here he is. So
maybe he forgot that he said that too, though.
That's a good point. He probably forgot. He likely forgot.
Goodness. One last thing, just congratulations are in order. Just beautiful pictures.
Those are beautiful pictures.
Yeah, they were gorgeous.
Gorgeous pictures. Short. I forgot how long it took for them to get together, but kudos to them just getting it. Like we committed to this. There are a lot of people at the wedding. I'm trying to pull up some of the pictures. Oops, we're not talking about that.
They were not at the wedding.
They were not at the wedding. But yeah, so congratulations to them. There's really nothing much to say. I just want to, give them a salute,
a shout out,
and a shout out, Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti. So
yeah,
congratulations are in order to them. I wonder if they're gonna work more of that into the storyline, but you never know. I think this is a great thing. AEW coming, it presented another promotion, and now with Triple H taking over WWE, I feel like wrestling is going to, because I feel like whatever Triple H does, AEW is going to, you're gonna, right? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
That's the nature of competition. Hopefully friendly competition, but that's the nature of competition. So we will see what happens. And with that too, let me let everybody know that we are trying a new format. So we're going to be doing a Monday, Wednesday, Friday format. So we're going to see how that works with everybody. See how that goes. I feel like leading up to leading up to SmackDown on a Friday, that might work too. So we'll see. We're just testing everything. It's like, Triple H is now taking over Women's Wrestling Talk too. Well, although I would not mind, please bring the check. But with that being said, with that being said, Mimi, where can everybody find you?
You can find me tomorrow night at 7:00 on Turnbuckle Tuesdays with my co-host, My Kick is My Fix, on Twitter, and on Thursdays, Club 835 at the Black Wrestling YouTube.
This southern accent came from nowhere. Like, what?
It's the Monday energy.
Fair enough.
There it is. And Mr. Bonner, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Bonnerfied on all of the socials. Of course, all things Southern Honor Wrestling. You can find on IWTV. All things BattleSlam you can find on Fight TV. One day I'm going to take a moment and just kind of lose it about that. But yeah,
okay.
BattleSlam, Fight TV, and the newest episode of BattleSlam on Fight TV will show up this week. We will keep you posted on that. This Sunday, I'll be part of a brand new promotion called District Championship Wrestling here in Atlanta. That should be fun. QT Marshall will be there, the Workhorseman, and several other folks. So that'll be fun. And I think that's actually streaming live on YouTube. I'll keep you guys posted on that so you guys can watch. I'm doing commentary for that. And then I don't know if this has been announced yet, so I'll hold off. Let me not announce that yet. But I have another BattleSlam date coming. So we'll talk about that too.
I'm busy.
Yeah, thank God. So, and then, of course, ProWrestlingTees.com/Bonnerfied. You can check out the merch there. And, and, of course, all the time here on WWT Live.
Yay.
Oh, dang. I was actually hoping that Jenna would come. Hopefully she comes on Wednesday to talk about her pictures with Sasha and Naomi. That's kind of what I didn't mind timing in. So hopefully we'll tease that. I'll convince her that she has to come on Wednesday. But other than that, definitely check out our website, www.talkpod.com. We have all the latest articles, updates, all that good stuff. Shout out to our writers. Shout out to Santana, editor-in-chief. Definitely go and check out all our social media at www.talkpod. We're also on TikTok, www.talk. And you can follow me on everything at TK Trinidad. Thank you guys so much for watching the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Till Wednesday, guys. Ciao.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.